morning, everyone. Today is January 21st. We're getting up to 24 degrees today. This is the last of the cold days. Last week was miserable. I was in and out really quick as far as grabbing eggs, water, and then running up to that room and getting warm. Today's not too bad, and then we'll be in the 40s and rainy the rest of the week, so it's gonna get gross as far as mud. But this is a sick pen. Everyone's been doing good. They're not really sick, more like an injury pen. That Marin mix back there is sitting on her nest, so I'll let her hang out with her eggs for a little while before I grab them. But these guys' tail feathers are growing back real nice, so they're good to go back here in a little bit. That girl has been good to go back for a while. She was getting beat up a little bit on the head, but that's all healed up. She's doing fine, so I'm gonna put her back in some evening. That way she doesn't get beat up again real bad. But just working on chores. Just got these food and water, and about it. Howdy y'all. Today is January 22nd. Getting on chores. My ice sculpture here should be melting by hopefully overnight into tomorrow. We're getting some rain overnight. Things are warming up, so really looking forward to that. What are you doing out again? This guy here is always flying out of that net just so we can come see the ladies. You can't go in there, buddy. Go hang out with your friends. One thing I would like to try and get done today is pull all these coops up back toward the barn, because I want to do some repairs on them, modifications, things like that. I haven't moved these things in the snow before. Mine's just sliding them left or right when the chickens were in there for a little bit. So we'll see how it goes. The snow's not really deep. It is starting to get a little more wet. It's about 31 degrees right now, so it's definitely warming up. Whew, that's a workout. But they actually slide really easy. You can see though, sliding the front kind of picks up the snow. So it kind of shovels it along with you. So it's easy for a little bit. It slowly gets harder until you just lift the coop up over this snow. But the snow actually is pretty easy to just glide over. Mine is just picking that up. So it's still gonna take a while. You can tell these tarps are already seeing a little bit of wear. It hasn't even been one full year yet, but granted I did leave them on for the winter. And it's showing in some areas, unfortunately. The larger wheels were definitely easier moving, but this coop doesn't lift up as high. So it was grabbing a lot of snow along the way, making it kind of hard. This one over here had tinier wheels, but it lifted up higher. So smash those two traits together and it worked pretty good. Well, they're closer to the barn than what they were. It's gonna start raining tonight, so I wanted to get on that. Also want to get all these straw bales packed up. That way they're not getting rained on. This is really the first warm day I've had in over a week where I can just work outside and not have to run up to my warm room, every 15 or 20 minutes. So it feels really good just picking up some stuff outside, getting some work done out there, and also just cleaning up some stuff too, because it's so cold you just kind of toss it and run. So today I'm mostly just working on cleaning the barn. Yesterday I cleaned up the warm room, and that looks really nice up there. I'll probably be sweeping up drywall for the next who knows how long. It was really dusty up there. There's still some work to do up there, but for now it's good enough where it's at, and we can kind of work on it when we have the time to do it. So right now I'm just working on cleaning this mess up. So pick up all that stuff and all that, and we'll see if I can get one of the mobile coops in here. It's nice having the garage door open. It's been a long time, I feel like, since I've had it up. That's a cool colored egg. I haven't seen one like that in a really long time. And even then, it's still kind of a different shade. If I had to guess, it's probably a buff Marin mix that laid that. It's really pretty. getting a ton done. It may not look like it. I've been here all day, but getting a lot of things done that just needed to get done. Even just something as simple as pulling nails out of boards, that took some time, and you hardly noticed that I did it, but it'll be really handy later when I grab all that lumber in the back and there's no nails in it, so I can just start working on coops or whatever I'm building. But it's all looking pretty good, coming along. I still got to organize the shelves, but I'm not too concerned about that at the moment. The first wave of rain is coming in less than an hour. The coops are closer to the barn, but they're still not in the barn, so that's what I got to work on next. I've also done a little bit of work in the upstairs room as far as setting it up, looking at what the grow room may look like, so that's been fun as well. What are you doing, knucklehead? You're really trying to see your ladies, aren't you? That way's not going to work either. That's a good try, though. Give you props for that. What a goofy rooster. Anyways, you can see I've got the coops kind of trained up here. I'm finding that the first coop is the worst to pull because it starts pulling along all the snow with it. But if you follow the other two in behind it, that snow's already scraped up, so it's not so bad. This first one I have to stop every so often and just scrape the snow off the front of it. We're getting closer to the barn. As you can see, that first one just is really tough. But once the snow's slicked down, the other two move even easier than they do in the summer. So just got to fight the first one a little bit to pack that snow down. Just about got one there, 2 more to go. It's easier now because it's out of the snow. All right, yeah, I got 1 coop in. I can easily fit another one in here. The reason I'm putting them in is I do want to make some modifications, primarily with the roost. I'm not real happy with how that went this year. So instead of running them this way, and you see how the roost bars are lower than the nesting boxes, the chickens were always in those nesting boxes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop a board and run one this way and run one that way. So that'll give all the chickens a ton more room, and they'll also be higher than the nesting boxes. So hopefully that'll help keep the chickens out of there. Also, I just need to do some small little things to fix it up some more. Primarily these back doors, they were just scrap that I had found or just had laying around, so I used those. This one, I really like these wooden little latches. These are perfect. Not all the coops are like that. Some actually have a little hinge and hook, and those are pulling out and they're just hard, and why mess with it? These are so quick, so simple. So I'm gonna convert all the coops over to that. And yeah, just some small little tweaks. What I actually wanted to get done today was to pull that wagon in with all the wood, just cause it's gonna be raining all week. Who knows when it's going to freeze up next, and it would just be nice to get that out of here. So the only issue with that is these stakes are frozen in the ground, so that's why I'm not bothering with that right now. There's still plenty of time. The ground will freeze up again at some point and I'll be able to get it out. So it gives me some time at least to work on the coops. So I got 2 coops in the barn, which is super cool. So now I can just work on them while it's raining. It's gonna be so muddy. That 3rd coop, I actually probably could put it in sideways up here, but I don't want it to be really cramped. So I'm just gonna drag that one up in front of the garage door, just somewhere here where it's more on the gravel rather than the mud. And then once I get one done, I'll back it up, take it out, and then move that one in. And I still have the 2, the one with the sick pen, and then the other one with the roosters that I still want to do some work on too. But it's just nice to have both of those in the barn. Man, this snow along the back of the property is just gross looking. I think it's just from that field back there. The wind whipping over it and blowing dirt on it. It's the only thing I can think of. Testament to keeping your ground covered so you don't lose your soil. I'm just amazed that there are not any tracks out here. No critters have been running around. This snow's been out here for quite a while. Here's a little something in here, but not what I was expecting. I do want to go ahead and check on that Buff Marin mix. From what I can see, she looks fine, but I'm going to actually get a closer look tonight, check that her head's okay. She was getting a little picked on when I first merged all the chickens, and there was a little bit of blood, and I didn't want anything worse to happen, so I pulled her out, and I'm sure everything's healed up just fine, but I want to just triple check, and then if all's good, I'll go ahead and throw her in the coop. She looks good and healed up. She's got a little bald patch, but it's hardly noticeable. No red, so she's looking good. I'm gonna go ahead and throw her back in with all of her friends. She's been in here a couple minutes, and so far so good. She's a chicken on the bottom ring there. And, oh, there's a chicken in the nesting box. No, cannot be up there. I'm cutting them a little slack. As long as they're not in the box and they're roosting on there, I'm okay. Usually I was kicking them off that and making them go over, but I think those Sussex are just so ingrained to hang out over here that that's just where they feel comfortable, so I'll let them do that, but not in the nesting box. So far there's only been 2 that have been trying to get in there, so that's pretty good. A few Sussex have figured it out though, a couple on the smaller roost, looks like only 1 on that larger roost, but so far so good. Well, you give them an inch, they take a mile, and every now and then they were starting to hop up in those nesting boxes just because others were hopping up here. So I just kicked them all off, so they're figuring it out right now. But so far so good. That one chicken that I just put back in here is hanging out in the corner. Frizzle, right here under the heat lamp, that big Buff Orpington, is kind of harassing her. But everybody else is doing fine with her. Come on, buddy, you gotta go. You're kind of heavy. Come on, get down. Oh. This is French Fry. I had to catch him. Come on, hop down. There we go. So I was kind of curious as to what the roosters would do. They did not figure out how to get back in. They were continually circling the ladies up here trying to get back in, which was not going to work. But so far so good. Not too many chickens are wanting to get in the nesting box. Most everybody's up. I haven't worked with this coop too much. For the most part, this, for spacing on the name, the Pearl Whites. Pearl Whites are generally pretty good. Tonight, for whatever reason, they're not being good examples. But it's typically the Australorps here that are wanting to pile up in the corner. And everybody else goes up pretty good. I don't know why these Pearl Whites aren't. But yeah, they either pile up in the corner or hang out in the nesting box. So it actually sounds like the rain that's moving in is going to turn into some freezing rain. A lot of things are already getting canceled. So that first little wave never showed up, which is fine by me. Turn some lights on here. But yeah, it's supposed to get pretty ugly, at least overnight and into the morning. It's supposed to be raining for about the next 3 days, so it's gonna get really muddy out here, but road conditions might not be so pretty tomorrow. So I'm gonna go ahead and call it a day. Howdy, y'all. Today is January 24th. It's really nice outside. It's been drizzling all day, so it's really soggy out there, but temperature-wise, it feels nice. Temperature up here is 52, downstairs it's 30-something. I open up the doors and it's already warming up really nice. I usually keep this room when I'm not here about 45 degrees, so I just turn that heat off. I'm just gonna leave the door open so it warms up. But it's kind of nice just leaving the door open. Never have yet. Actually feels cold in here in comparison to being out there now. But I've been kind of playing around with the setup of what this grow room's gonna look like, so I have some ideas. February, I'm really gonna start ramping that up and getting things set up. So I've got just a little bit more time for that, but for now, just working on chores. With that Arctic blast last week, I wasn't keeping real great track of egg numbers because I was just freezing. I was grabbing eggs, what wasn't frozen, and I wasn't really keeping a good tally for a few days on that. But it seemed like the number of eggs had definitely increased, and I'd started keeping track a few days ago, and I was getting about 2 dozen a day. And today was the first day that I've gotten 3 dozen eggs from the chickens in a long while. So that's a really great feeling to know. So I unplugged most of the heat lamps yesterday, so I'm gonna unplug the last few today. I've just been pouring bedding into these 2 coops because it is so soggy out here. It's pretty gross. So just that rain's rolling into these coops as far as just being on the ground. So the pearl white coop isn't terrible just because it had a lot more bedding in it to start with. But I'm still putting at least a bag or 2 a day in there. And I got 20 bags from Tractor Supply the other day. I still have, about dropped my phone. I still have about 8 more from the feed barn. So I figure once I use up all this bedding, I'll probably just start throwing chickens back in the pens and running them on pasture. We'll see what it looks like. I might just go through this bedding really quick, but hopefully not. But if it stays this wet, I might. So the other day I let the roosters out and I didn't close their pen in last night. The Americana rooster and French fry were out running around. So I figure I'm just gonna let the roosters do their thing. I did crack this net just a smidge so that way if they did get out, they could come back in. Typically they'll just keep circling this net all the way around and that way they can at least run up on an opening and be fine. So French fry did actually find his way back in last night. That Americana rooster's still out right now. So I don't know if he ever found his way in and then got back out or if he's just hanging out all night. So anyways, the roosters are just doing their thing. They've got the net for some protection. And yeah, I'm just gonna let them hang out. Honestly, the roosters just cost money feeding them. I'm not really using them for anything. I got rid of about maybe it was 12 roosters that I had. They were younger roosters, so I offed them. Been enjoying them, but I just don't need this many roosters. I was having 1 in each pen, which is fine, but this actually works out to a couple roosters in a pen. I really don't need that. So if a couple don't make it, that's not the end of the world. I will say these pearl whites eat food like no other chicken that I have. I had this feeder full and as you can see, it is already empty. That was a matter of 10 minutes. Absolute hogs. This one was also full. It's a larger feeder. But man, those things chow down. The other coop, they haven't even touched their food. But these pearl whites, they're really good producers. And they're producing a lot right now. They're all done molting. And man, they're really high energy. So they're just scarfing this food down. I haven't had much luck getting rid of this old fridge here, so I may just have to scrap it myself. Howdy y'all, today is January 25th. We got lots of eggs here to pick up, so chickens are doing good. Rusty's out here being a rebel. All the other roosters are in the back, but he's been hanging around front, threatening to walk through the front door of the barn. So it is pretty humid inside the coop. It's in the 50s today. You can just see the moisture. Most of that's all on the inside. So I've got to get this coop airing out a little more. Never cut that one in, so I'm gonna go ahead and open that up. Much better. That'll help get some of that moisture out there. I do need to take a board and tack this up so that way if the wind comes, it doesn't just rip this off, just like I did on the window over here. What are you doing in here, Rusty? This is the first chicken to just walk on in the barn like he owns the place. So I'd rather him not be in here just because he's gonna poop on things, hop up on stuff, knock things over. So I'll shoo him out here in just a little bit. Looks like he's going on his own, which is nice. But anyways, right now I was working on the water and this blue one froze and it kind of popped the bottom out in the middle just a little bit. You can't really see it, but I don't know if it's gonna seal and hold water, so I was messing with that right now. I got 4 dozen eggs today, which is super cool. The chickens are feeling the springtime, definitely, at least the longer days. It feels like springtime right now. I know we're still gonna have some cold weather coming up, but we've gained over 30 minutes of light, which has really helped. I haven't been supplementing the chickens with artificial light. I only did that for the speckled Sussex, just to make sure that they would actually start laying eggs, since they were coming up on a year old and really hadn't given me much. That was just bad timing as far as when I got them, and then the days were getting shorter, so that was that. But they started laying, I took the light out, and then I was starting to add all the other chickens in, and yeah, just this week, I still have another egg in my pocket. So yeah, then just a couple eggs short of 5 dozen for today, which is amazing. So that is super cool. That fog is really starting to set in out there. It was nice and clear when I got here, but it's been an hour or two and can't really even see that back fence line anymore.